Close one eye right now. Look straight ahead. See any blur, any dark patches, any fuzziness at the edges. That's not normal aging. That's nutritional starvation. Your eyes are the most nutrient-hungry organs in your entire body, and after 60, they're running on empty. 6 specific nutrients can halt the damage and protect your vision starting today. Your ophthalmologist never listed a single one. Right now, your retina is under attack. After 60, oxidative stress inside your eyes accelerates violently. Free radicals are destroying the macula, the tiny center of your retina responsible for sharp vision. Blue light from screens is penetrating deeper because your natural lens filter has thinned. Blood flow to the optic nerve is declining, and every day you go without these 6 nutrients, irreversible damage stacks. Silently, painlessly, until one morning you can't rid the clock across the room. Here's what makes me angry. You get your annual eye exam. They check pressure, test your prescription, maybe scan for glaucoma, and send you home. Nobody tests your nutrient levels. Nobody explains that macular degeneration, the leading cause of blindness after 60, is a nutritional deficiency disease. A $140 billion vision care industry sells you stronger glasses every year, not the compounds that would stop the decline. The research exists, published, peer-reviewed. Specific nutrients rebuild macular pigment density, protect photoreceptor cells, restore blood flow to the retina. Clinical trials prove they reduce vision loss risk by up to 35%. But this information stays buried in journals while your eyesight fades. You wore sunglasses, took screen breaks, used eye drops, and your vision still got worse every year because you protected the outside, never fed the inside. In this video, we will reveal 6 nutrients your eyes desperately need after 60, ranked from least to most powerful. Number 1 is so critical that without it your retina has zero defense against degeneration. References are in the description. How old are you, and where are you watching from? Drop it below. I read every comment. I reply personally. Now let's start with number 6. This nutrient acts like a natural blue light filter inside your eye, and almost no senior is getting enough of it. Number 6. Omega-3 fatty acids. You have probably heard about omega-3 for your heart and your brain, but very few people realize just how important these fats are for the health of your eyes after 60. Your retina, the thin layer of tissue at the back of your eye that detects light, is actually one of the most fat-rich tissues in your entire body. And the dominant fat in the retina is a specific type of omega-3 called DHA, short for docosahexaenoic acid. DHA makes up roughly 60% of the fatty acids in the outer segments of your photoreceptor cells. These are the cells that convert light into the electrical signals your brain reads as vision. When your DHA levels drop, which naturally happens as you age because your body becomes less efficient at absorbing and converting these fats, those photoreceptor cells begin to function poorly. They become stiff, sluggish, and eventually die off. A study published in the journal Investigative Ophthalmology and Visual Science followed 2,520 adults over a 12-year period and found that those who consumed the highest amount of omega-3 fatty acids had a 30% lower risk of developing macular degeneration compared to those who consumed the least. Another study from the National Eye Institute found that people who ate fish rich in omega-3 at least twice a week had a significantly lower rate of both early and late-stage macular degeneration. But omega-3 does not only protect the retina, it is also one of the most effective natural treatments for dry eye syndrome, which affects nearly 1 in 3 people over 65. Your eyes need a healthy tear film to stay moist and to wash away debris and bacteria. Omega-3 helps the tiny glands along your eyelids produce better quality oil that prevents your tears from evaporating too quickly. A randomized clinical trial published in the journal Cornea found that participants who took omega-3 supplements for 90 days reported a 65% improvement in dry eye symptoms and showed measurable improvement in tear film stability. So how do you get enough of it? The best food sources are fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, sardines, and anchovies. Wild-caught salmon gives you roughly 2,000 200 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA in just a 3-ounce serving. The key is to bake or grill the fish rather than frying it, because frying at high temperatures can destroy a significant portion of the omega-3 content. If you are not a fan of fish, high-quality fish oil supplements or algae-based DHA supplements work as well. Aim for at least 1,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA daily. One important thing to remember is that omega-3 is fat-soluble, so always take it with a meal that contains some fat so your body can actually absorb it. Now, omega-3 sets a good foundation, but the next nutrient on our list actually fights one of the biggest threats to your aging eyes. Number 5. Vitamin E. Most people think of vitamin E as a skin nutrient, something you rub onto scars or mix into lotions. But inside your eyes, vitamin E plays a very different and far more critical role. It is one of the most powerful fat-soluble antioxidants in your body, and because the retina is loaded with delicate fats that are extremely vulnerable to damage, vitamin E is essentially the bodyguard of those fats. Here is what happens without it. Every time light enters your eye, it triggers a chemical reaction in the retina that produces what scientists call free radicals. These are unstable molecules that steal electrons from healthy cells, causing a chain reaction of damage called oxidative stress. When you are young, your body handles this easily. But after 60, your natural antioxidant defenses weaken, and the damage starts to pile up faster than your body can repair it. This is one of the primary mechanisms behind age-related macular degeneration and cataracts. Vitamin E steps in and neutralizes these free radicals before they can damage the fatty membranes of your photoreceptor cells. A major study published in the Archives of Ophthalmology analyzed data from over 3,000 adults aged 55 to 80. The results showed that people who had the highest dietary intake of vitamin E had a 20% lower risk of developing advanced macular degeneration. The original AREDS study also confirmed that vitamin E, at a dose of 400 international units per day, was a key ingredient in the supplement formula that reduced progression of the disease by 25%. Beyond the macula, vitamin E also protects the lens of your eye. The lens is the clear, flexible disc behind your pupil that focuses light. As oxidative damage accumulates in the lens over decades, the proteins inside it clump together and form cloudy patches. That is exactly what a cataract is. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed 35,000 women for 10 years and found that those with the highest vitamin E intake had an 18% lower risk of developing cataracts. So how do you get it into your daily routine? The best food sources include sunflower seeds, almonds, hazelnuts, and spinach. Just 1 ounce of sunflower seeds gives you about 7.4 milligrams, which is nearly half of the recommended daily amount of 15 milligrams. Cooking with wheat germ oil is another excellent option. It contains more vitamin E per serving than any other food. If you go the supplement route, look specifically for the natural form labeled as d-alpha-tocopherol rather than the synthetic d-alpha-tocopherol. The natural form is roughly twice as bioavailable, meaning your body absorbs and uses it much more effectively. Pair it with a meal containing healthy fats like avocado or olive oil for maximum absorption. Vitamin E protects the fats in your eyes, but the next nutrient protects something just as important: the watery parts of your eye tissue. Number 4. Vitamin C. If vitamin E is the guardian of the fatty tissues in your eyes, then vitamin C is the guardian of everything else. It is a water-soluble antioxidant, which means it works in the fluid-filled parts of the eye where vitamin E cannot reach. And here is a fact that surprises almost everyone. The concentration of vitamin C inside the fluid of your eye, called the aqueous humor, is 20 to 70 times higher than the concentration in your blood. Your eyes are hoarding this nutrient on purpose. They need that much of it to survive the constant bombardment of UV light and oxidative stress that happens every single day. After 60, the levels of vitamin C in your eye fluid naturally start to decline, and when they drop, 2 things happen. First, oxidative damage to the lens accelerates, which leads to cataracts forming faster. Second, the tiny blood vessels in the retina become weaker and more prone to leaking, which is a hallmark of diabetic retinopathy. A large population-based study published in the journal Ophthalmology followed 1,000 pairs of female twins over 10 years. The researchers found that participants who consumed the highest amount of vitamin C had a 33% lower risk of cataract progression compared to those who consumed the least. That is a remarkable number for something as simple as a vitamin. Another study from the Journal of the American College of Nutrition examined over 3,000 adults aged 43 to 86 and found that long-term vitamin C supplementation, meaning 10 or more years, was associated with a 45% reduction in the risk of nuclear cataracts, the most common type that develops deep in the center of the lens. But vitamin C does something else for your eyes that gets almost no attention. It is essential for the production and maintenance of collagen, the structural protein that gives shape to the cornea, the clear front window of your eye, and to the tiny blood vessels throughout the retina. Without adequate vitamin C, these structures weaken, and your risk of retinal hemorrhage increases significantly. The best food sources include bell peppers, kale, broccoli, strawberries, and of course, citrus fruits like oranges and grapefruit. But here is a tip most people miss. A single medium red bell pepper contains about 152 milligrams of vitamin C, which is actually far more than a medium orange at 70 milligrams. So if you want the biggest bang for your bite, go with peppers. The recommended daily intake is 90 milligrams for men and 75 milligrams for women, but many eye health researchers suggest that 500 milligrams daily is closer to the ideal amount for protective benefits after 60. Just spread it throughout the day rather than taking it all at once, because your body can only absorb about 200 milligrams at a time and will simply flush the rest. Vitamin C handles the water-soluble defense, but the next nutrient works at the cellular level in a way that surprises many researchers. Number 3. Zinc. You might not hear about zinc as often as you hear about other vitamins, but when it comes to the health of your eyes after 60, zinc is absolutely essential. In fact, your eye contains one of the highest concentrations of zinc of any organ in your entire body. It is found in especially high amounts in the retina and the choroid, which is the thin layer of blood vessels that sits directly beneath the retina and supplies it with oxygen and nutrients. Zinc plays a role in more than 300 enzymatic reactions in the body, but in the eye specifically, it serves two critical functions. First, it helps vitamin A travel from the liver to the retina, where vitamin A is converted into melanin, the protective pigment that shields the eye from damaging light. Without enough zinc, this process slows down, and your retina becomes more vulnerable to light-induced damage. Second, zinc supports the function of a powerful antioxidant enzyme called superoxide dismutase, which is one of your body's first lines of defense against oxidative damage in the retina. The AREDS study made zinc famous in eye health when it found that 80 milligrams of zinc daily, combined with other antioxidants, reduced the risk of advanced macular degeneration by 25%. But follow-up analysis showed that zinc on its own reduced the risk by 21%. That is significant. It means zinc alone accounted for the largest individual contribution of any single nutrient in the formula. A separate study published in the American Journal of Epidemiology analyzed the dietary habits of over 4,000 older adults and found that those who consumed above-average amounts of zinc had a 44% lower risk of early age-related macular degeneration. Zinc deficiency is surprisingly common in people over 60 because the body's ability to absorb it decreases with age, and many medications commonly taken by older adults, like proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux, further reduce zinc absorption. This creates a perfect storm where the eyes need more zinc at exactly the age when the body is getting less of it. The best food sources include oysters, which are the single richest source at about 74 milligrams per 3-ounce serving, along with beef, crab, pumpkin seeds, and chickpeas. A serving of beef provides about 7 milligrams, and a quarter cup of pumpkin seeds gives you roughly 2.5 milligrams. If you prefer supplements, aim for 40 to 80 milligrams daily for eye protection. But here is a critical detail most people miss. High-dose zinc can block your body from absorbing copper, which can lead to a separate and serious deficiency. That is why the AREDS formula always included 2 milligrams of copper alongside the zinc. So if you supplement with zinc, always pair it with a small amount of copper. Take it with food to avoid nausea, which is the most common side effect of zinc on an empty stomach. Zinc works behind the scenes at the enzyme level, but the next two nutrients actually live inside your retina and form a visible shield you can measure. Number 2. Zeaxanthin. Now we are getting into the nutrients that researchers consider the real game changers for preventing vision loss after 60. Zeaxanthin is a carotenoid pigment, which is a natural plant-based compound that gives yellow and orange fruits and vegetables their color. But what makes zeaxanthin extraordinary is where your body puts it. When you consume zeaxanthin, your body selectively transports it to one very specific place, the macula at the center of your retina. There, along with its partner nutrient that we will discuss next, zeaxanthin forms what scientists call the macular pigment. Think of it as a built-in pair of internal sunglasses that sits directly in front of your most sensitive photoreceptor cells. This pigment filters out high-energy blue light before it can reach and damage those cells. Blue light, whether it comes from sunlight, screens, or artificial lighting, is the most damaging wavelength of visible light to the aging retina. After 60, the density of this macular pigment naturally decreases, leaving those critical cells exposed. A landmark study published in the journal Optometry and Vision Science measured the macular pigment density of 800 adults and found that those with the lowest zeaxanthin levels in their retina had a twofold higher risk of age-related macular degeneration compared to those with the highest levels. Another study from the AREDS2 trial, which specifically tested the addition of zeaxanthin and its partner nutrient, found that replacing beta-carotene with a combination of zeaxanthin and the number one nutrient reduced the risk of advanced macular degeneration by an additional 18% in participants who had low dietary intake of these pigments at the start of the trial. But zeaxanthin does more than just block blue light. It also functions as a powerful antioxidant directly inside the macular tissue, neutralizing free radicals at the exact location where they cause the most damage. Research published in the journal Nutrients showed that zeaxanthin supplementation at just 2 milligrams per day improved contrast sensitivity, glare recovery, and visual processing speed in adults over 60 within 6 months. Contrast sensitivity is your ability to distinguish objects from their background, and it is one of the first visual functions to decline with age, making it harder to drive at night or read in low light. So where do you get zeaxanthin? The richest food source by far is orange bell peppers, which contain approximately 1.7 milligrams per large pepper. Corn, egg yolks, and goji berries are also excellent sources. Egg yolks deserve special attention because the fat in the yolk dramatically increases the absorption of zeaxanthin. A study in the Journal of Nutrition found that eating 1 egg per day for 5 weeks increased blood zeaxanthin levels by 38%. The important thing is to eat the whole egg, not just the whites, because the carotenoids need the fat to be absorbed. Lightly cooking your eggs rather than hard boiling them also preserves more of the zeaxanthin content. Zeaxanthin is one half of the macular pigment shield, but the next and final nutrient is the other half, and studies show it is even more important. Number 1. Lutein. This is the one. If there is a single nutrient that every person over 60 should know about for their eyes, it is lutein. Like zeaxanthin, lutein is a carotenoid pigment that your body deposits directly into the macula of the retina. But here is the key difference. Lutein makes up roughly twice as much of the macular pigment as zeaxanthin does. It dominates the outer edges of the macula and provides the widest ring of protection for your central vision. Without lutein, the macular pigment thins out, and your most important photoreceptor cells are left completely exposed to blue light damage and oxidative stress. A groundbreaking study published in JAMA Ophthalmology followed over 100,000 men and women for more than 20 years. The researchers found that participants with the highest lutein intake had a 40% lower risk of developing advanced age-related macular degeneration compared to those with the lowest intake. That is 4 out of every 10 cases potentially prevented by a single dietary nutrient. Another study from the journal Investigative Ophthalmology and Visual Science found that people with the highest concentration of lutein in their retina had a 43% lower risk of neovascular macular degeneration, the most aggressive and vision-threatening form of the disease, where abnormal blood vessels grow beneath the retina and leak fluid that destroys central vision rapidly. The AREDS2 trial confirmed that adding 10 milligrams of lutein daily to the original supplement formula not only maintained the 25% risk reduction, but actually proved safer and more effective than the original formula that contained beta-carotene, which was linked to increased lung cancer risk in smokers. Lutein was the nutrient that replaced beta-carotene and became the new gold standard. But lutein does not just sit there, passively filtering light. Research from Tufts University demonstrated that lutein actively reduces inflammatory compounds in the retina called complement factors, which are now understood to be one of the primary triggers of macular degeneration at the molecular level. This means lutein is not only a filter and an antioxidant, but also an anti-inflammatory agent working on 3 separate fronts simultaneously. So how do you make sure you are getting enough? The single best food source on the planet is cooked kale. 1 cup of cooked kale delivers approximately 23.7 milligrams of lutein, which is more than double the dose used in the AREDS2 trial from just 1 serving. Spinach is another powerhouse at about 20 milligrams per cooked cup. Here is the critical preparation tip that most people do not know. Lutein is fat-soluble, so eating raw spinach in a dry salad means you absorb very little of it. But sauteing spinach or kale in olive oil or butter increases lutein absorption by up to 3 times. A study from the Journal of the American Dietetic Association confirmed that adding just 1 tablespoon of fat to cooked greens boosted carotenoid absorption dramatically. Egg yolks also contain smaller amounts of lutein, but in a highly bioavailable form because of the fat content surrounding it. Aim for 10 milligrams of lutein daily as a minimum. Eating 2 to 3 servings of dark leafy greens per week, properly cooked with a healthy fat, will get you there easily. So now you have the complete picture. These 6 nutrients, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin E, vitamin C, zinc, zeaxanthin, and lutein, are not just general health recommendations. They are the specific compounds that decades of clinical research have proven to protect your eyes from the most common causes of vision loss after 60. The science is clear, the foods are accessible, and the earlier you start, the stronger your defense will be. You do not need to overhaul your entire diet overnight. Start with 1 change this week. Add some cooked kale with olive oil to your meals. Eat a couple of eggs for breakfast. Grab some sunflower seeds as a snack. Small steps like these add up to powerful protection over time. If you found this information valuable, please subscribe to the channel so you do not miss future videos like this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.